My name is Alice. After my husband died, I left Iowa and moved to Denver to live with my daughter Laura. She'd just divorced, said she needed help with the boys, someone steady in the house. We agreed it was temporary. I paid half the utilities. Did the school runs, laundry, meals. The house was noisy, a little cramped, but full of life. Every Monday, Laura and I walked to the corner store. We'd buy a lottery ticket and coffee. She'd wave the ticket and say, "If we ever win, I'm getting you a brand new kitchen." She smiled when she said it. And I smiled too. One night, I reminded her she hadn't paid her share of the water bill. She didn't look up from her phone. "You're home all day," she said. "What do you need water for?" I laughed. Just a little. But something in my chest turned to ice. After that, the slights began to gather like dust. My books disappeared from the den. "Storage," she said. "We need space for the boys." My coat hooks were gone, replaced by a whiteboard. On it, a chore chart. Color-coded. My name under laundry, dishes, pickups. The boys started mimicking her tone. "Grandma doesn't have a car. She just lives with us now. 'Cause she has nowhere." Once, during dinner, I tried to tell a story about their mother when she was 10. How she won a spelling bee and cried on stage because she forgot to thank her teacher. Laura cut me off. "Let's let the kids talk, Mom." The story hung in my mouth like a thread waiting to snap. She stopped calling me in for family photos. I noticed it at Halloween. They took pictures in the yard, the boys in their costumes. I was inside folding laundry. When I came out, it was over. No one had thought to include me. Once, a woman from her office came by to drop something off. We spoke briefly at the door. She looked around and said, "So you're still staying with Laura? She told us you didn't have any other place." "No other place." I smiled. But that night, I sat in my small room, once a craft den now mine, and looked at my suitcase in the closet. I hadn't opened it since Iowa. It was still half full. I'd never really unpacked. One morning, I went to make tea and found my kettle gone. A note taped to the empty counter. "Boys keep burning themselves. Use microwave." No signature. Later that week, I walked into the kitchen to find my mug in the trash. The blue one with the chip in the rim. The one my husband gave me. When I asked, Laura said, "It was cracked. I thought you were done with it." I wanted to ask, when did I stop having a say in what's mine? But I didn't. Instead, I picked it from the trash, washed it carefully, and hid it in the back of the pantry. On Mondays, I still bought our ticket. Same store. Same routine. Bananas, eggs, oat milk. The cashier, Jim, always gave me the pen. I always signed the back. "Just a habit. Still hoping to win big?" he'd ask. "No harm in dreaming," I'd say. Sometimes Laura came with me, but mostly she didn't. Said the place smelled like old candy. I didn't mind going alone. It was 15 quiet minutes. Mine. After one trip, I pinned the ticket to the fridge with the magnet shaped like a daisy. Just like always. That same evening, I walked in from the backyard and heard Laura on the phone. "Yeah, she's still here." "No, she doesn't pay rent." "Well, a little for utilities, but you know, she's not really in a position to be on her own." I backed away. In my room, I took the magnet off the fridge, folded the ticket into a book, tucked it away. One day, she called out from the living room. "Hey, don't forget to get another ticket tomorrow. Last one was a dud." I paused in the doorway. She said it without looking at me. Like I was just the errand. When I bought the next one, I didn't pin it up. I kept it in my wallet. That night, I dreamed I was in a house with no walls. Just beams. No roof. The sky was black. I kept trying to hang curtains, but there was nothing to nail them to. When I woke, the sound of the boys laughing downstairs felt far away. The house didn't feel full. It felt heavy. I stayed in bed that morning. No one knocked. No one asked. By noon, I got up and started writing down numbers from old bills, birth certificates, account names. I didn't know why. Just a feeling. I folded the page and placed it beneath my pillow. She came in glowing. Not just happy, radiant, like someone walking in from a spotlight. Hair wind-tossed, cheeks flushed, a white envelope clutched in her hand. I was at the sink, rinsing the soap from a breakfast plate. "Mom!" she called out, eyes wide. "You're not going to believe it." She held the envelope like a trophy. "I won. I actually won." I dried my hands slowly. "The lottery?" "Yes. $10 million. She laughed, giddy, almost breathless. "From the corner store. Monday's draw." The sponge dropped from my fingers into the basin. Monday. Ridgeview and 15th. Like every week. Like every ritual. "You bought it?" I asked carefully. "Of course. Right after yoga. Just on a whim." I nodded. The lie was casual. Too casual. Laura never bought tickets. Not once. She hated that store, said the cashier creeped her out, said it smelled like boiled ham. She never waited in line for small talk or scratch cards. But I went. I always went. Monday afternoons, after picking up the boys, after the oat milk and cereal. I even signed the back. A. Reed. Blue pen. My same initials, same looped R I'd used on school forms and rent checks for 40 years. Still, I smiled. "That's incredible," I said. "We deserve it." She beamed. Kissed my temple. Tossed her gym bag on the floor. "I'm calling the lawyer. We'll need to get an advisor or something, right?" She was halfway up the stairs before I said another word. That night, she didn't come down for dinner. The next morning, she was gone. No note. No coffee cup in the sink. Just the faint smell of her perfume and the empty hook where her coat used to hang. I texted. No reply. By noon, her contact photo had vanished from the family group chat. The icon had turned blank. No updates. No status. 2 days later, I got the message. "I need my space now, Mom. You'll manage." That was it. I stood in the kitchen, phone still in my hand, staring at the words as if they might shift, rearrange, soften. They didn't. By evening, she'd blocked my number. I packed 2 bags. Just the basics, my medicine, a change of clothes, the framed photo of my husband from our 40th anniversary. I called a cab and gave them Helen's address. She opened the door without surprise, just a sad sort of nod. "Come in," she said. "You look cold." The rain had soaked through my coat. I hadn't even noticed. Later that night, I searched her name online. The mansion was real. Gated, sprawling, perched up on a hill like it belonged to someone who used to smile for cameras. A car with gull-wing doors was parked in the drive. I checked her social media. She was posting every hour. Caviar. Champagne. A pool with lights that changed colors. "Finally living," the caption said. Not a mention of me. Not a single word about how she got there. She was erasing me in real time. A week passed. Then 2. I heard from no one. Not the boys. Not her ex-husband. Not her friends, who used to call me Mama R. Not even a neighbor pretending concern. It was like someone had taken scissors to my name and snipped it out of their lives. But I had proof. I remembered that Monday clearly. I'd snapped a photo of the ticket on the fridge, just for fun. A little ritual. The yellow magnet holding it up next to a drawing the youngest made of Grandma's lasagna. I opened my phone, scrolled back. There it was. Date stamped. Clear. The same numbers. The same store. My signature in blue ink on the corner. I stared at it for a long time. Then I emailed it to myself. Backed it up. Printed a copy at the library the next morning. Then I went to the store. Jim, the cashier, looked up from the register. His glasses were fogged. "Hey there," he said. "Haven't seen you in a while." "I need to ask a favor," I said. "Do you still have security footage from the week before last?" His eyes narrowed. "You talking about the ticket?" I nodded. "I thought you already claimed it," he said. "No," I said. "I didn't." He led me to the back. The footage was grainy, but clear enough. There I was. Monday, 2:12 p.m. brown coat, scarf, 2 grocery bags. I placed them on the counter, paid for the ticket, took out my pen, and signed. We watched the clip twice. Jim said nothing the whole time. Then, quietly, he said, "You need to talk to a lawyer." "I already have." He nodded. "Good. You always did things by the book." That night, I sat by the window in Helen's guest room. The walls were a soft yellow. The quilt smelled of cedar and starch. I didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it hurt exactly as much as I expected. She'd waited for that win. Waited for the moment to unhook me from her life without guilt. Without mess. With money as the broom. But she forgot one thing. I had signed the ticket. And I wasn't gone yet. Helen made coffee every morning at 6. Not fancy coffee, just drip dark, strong enough to hold a spoon upright. She set out 2 mugs, even on days I hadn't spoken much. That Tuesday, I skipped mine. I stayed upstairs with the blinds drawn, the envelope from the lawyer open on the bed. Inside, a list of steps. A checklist. Submit claim to state lottery office. Provide evidence of purchase. Include video, witness testimony, signature sample. Await official confirmation of hold. Below it, a postscript in his handwriting. You have a solid case. Be patient. She may retaliate. She didn't wait long. The next morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. "You think this is over, Mom? You think this is fair? You're ruining everything. I earned this. You said we deserved it. You smiled." I saved the message. Then I blocked the number. I opened my laptop and began collecting everything. The receipt from that Monday. The time-stamped photo. The security footage. The email from Jim confirming I'd signed the back. Every transaction that had followed, all from the tickets account. By noon, I had a file the size of a wedding album. I sent it to the lawyer with one line, "Use whatever's needed. I'm not backing down." Later that day, I received the official email. The payout has been frozen pending further review. Thank you for your submission. Please do not discuss the case publicly until we notify you. I closed my laptop. That evening, I walked to the corner store again. Not for groceries. Not for another ticket. Jim was behind the counter. He looked up and nodded, then slid something toward me, a printed still from the footage. A grainy frame of me at the counter, pen in hand, signing. "I figured you'd want a copy," he said. I held it carefully. "Thank you, Jim." He glanced around, lowered his voice. "You should know, she came in. Last week. Asked for the footage. I told her I couldn't release it. She got loud. Real loud." I nodded. "She's not used to hearing no," I said. "She's about to hear a lot of it," he replied. I tucked the photo into my coat pocket and left. Back at Helen's, I sat on the porch swing with a blanket wrapped around my knees. The sun was sinking. The air was sharp. Leaves scattered across the lawn like forgotten paper. She stepped outside with 2 mugs. "You look better today," she said. "I remembered who I am," I replied. She sat down beside me but didn't ask questions. She never did. That was her gift. Presence without pressure. From inside, a familiar buzz. My phone vibrating against the table. I didn't move. Let them leave messages. Let them squirm. The next morning, a cousin I hadn't spoken to in years sent a text. "Maybe this has gone too far. Can't you two just split it? Laura's really upset." I didn't reply. 2 hours later, another. "You're her mother. Shouldn't you want her to be happy?" That one made me pause. Happy. As if stealing, lying and rewriting history were just byproducts of joy. I muted the thread. Around noon, a package arrived at Helen's door. No return address. Inside, a blue ceramic magnet. The same one I used to pin the lottery ticket to the fridge. And a note, handwritten, sloppy. "You never cared about the money. So why now?" I stared at the ceramic for a long time. She had taken it. Not out of sentiment, but as a trophy. As if stealing my win wasn't enough, she wanted to collect the symbols too. That evening, I visited the bank. I asked to open a separate account. I asked to put a hold on all automatic deposits until the case was finalized. The clerk asked if there had been fraud. No, I said calmly. Just a misunderstanding. One I'm correcting. I walked out with a new folder. My name on the cover. No co-signers. No linked cards. I slept better that night. 3 days later, the lawyer called. She's retained counsel, he said. They're denying the footage, claiming the ticket was bought on her behalf. I didn't speak. Don't worry, he added. We're already ahead of it. I thanked him and hung up. Then I went into Helen's spare room and opened the old suitcase I'd kept zipped since the day I left Laura's house. Inside, a handful of receipts, a grocery list, and the envelope with the original photo of the ticket. I laid them out on the bed, one by one. This wasn't sentiment. It was evidence. Proof that I had existed. Proof that I wasn't an accessory to someone else's story. I packed it all into a manila envelope, labeled it clearly, and placed it beside the door. Tomorrow, I would mail it to the state office directly. Let them see. Let them know. Let them choose truth. Because I wasn't fighting for money. I was fighting for the return of my own name. And I intended to win. The envelope was heavier than it looked. Not by weight, but by what it carried. I walked it to the post office myself. No ceremony. No announcement. Just slid it across the counter and said, certified, tracked, signature required. The clerk stamped it twice and handed me the receipt. Outside, the wind was cold and dry. The trees were thinning fast, their branches bony, bare, exposed. I liked them that way. At home, I made a list. Contact lottery investigator, confirm arrival. Move final funds to separate account. Change phone number. Update legal documents, no emergency contacts. Begin search for permanent housing. I drew a line beneath the last one. Double thick. Helen had been generous, but I didn't want to stretch generosity until it frayed. I wanted my own walls again. My own coffee. My own silence. That afternoon, I met the lawyer in person. His office was small, sunlit, and smelled faintly of dry ink. I've reviewed everything, he said, tapping the manila folder I'd sent. Their case is crumbling. He handed me a document. It was a list, flagged purchases, invalidated assets, pending reversals. Bank accounts opened in her name off the lottery payout. Luxury items bought within 2 weeks of the check. Everything traceable. Everything denied now. You'll likely be awarded the full claim, he said. There may be a public notice. Press, even. I nodded. If they call, I said, say nothing. He smiled. Understood. And when the transfer clears, I added, put it into a trust. My name only. No beneficiaries. No beneficiaries? For now, I said. He didn't press. When I left his office, I didn't feel triumphant. Just rooted. The way trees feel when frost finally hardens the ground beneath them. Nothing blooming, but nothing slipping either. That evening, I took the bus to the edge of the city. There was a small motel there with weekly rates and nothing to prove. A place where people passed through without needing to explain where they'd been. I paid in cash. The clerk didn't ask for a story. The room was clean. A little worn. Quiet. There was a plastic chair outside, facing west. I sat in it and watched the sun sink behind a strip mall and the silhouettes of distant hills. Across town, Laura was likely pacing, refreshing her email, watching the freeze settle over every account she once posted about. I imagined her trying to swipe a card for lunch, declined. Try another, declined. Call the bank, no access. Call the lawyer, no progress. And I didn't feel smug. I felt factual. She had gambled that I wouldn't speak. That I'd shrug it off like I had all the small humiliations. The dish towel folded wrong, the guest chair reassigned, the silence at dinner. But I wasn't being quiet anymore. I was being specific. The next morning, I opened a new email account. Not linked to anything. No photos, no folders, no family. I used it only once, to send a single message to the Lottery Commission. If you require further verification, I am available. Thank you for your time. They replied 6 minutes later. Thank you, Ms. Reed. Your claim is in final review. All disbursements have been halted under your request. Additional access has been restricted to only you. Only me. Those 2 words rang louder than any apology I'd never received. Later that day, Helen called. She left a message, short, soft. There's a letter here for you. No return address. Let me know if you want it read or burned. I texted back, read it. Slowly. An hour later, she called again. I picked up this time. It's from her, she said. Read it. A pause. Mom, if you're reading this, I know you've already filed. I don't know why. I don't know what I did to make you hate me. I snorted. I'm just trying to build something. You always said we deserved more. I thought you meant it. I thought we were in it together. Helen stopped. There's more, she said. I guess you needed to prove something. I hope it was worth it. The boys are confused. I don't know what to tell them. They miss you, but I won't lie to them about what you've done. I'm sorry it had to be this way. I closed my eyes. Burn it, I said. You sure? Yes. I heard the click of a lighter. A low fizzle. Then silence. That night, I walked to the vending machine down the hall. I bought a peppermint tea and a granola bar. I sat at the motel desk and looked at myself in the mirror for a long time. Not at my age. Not at my tired skin or thinning hair. At my eyes. They looked steady. That was new. The next morning, I took a walk around the neighborhood. There was a quiet street behind the motel lined with small single-story homes. One had a porch swing. One had a faded mailbox that said T. Wren. I didn't want something grand. I wanted something true. I jotted down the number on a for rent sign. Back in the room, I called. The man who answered was kind. Widowed. Said he'd prefer to rent to someone who understood quiet. I said I understood it very well. We agreed to meet on Friday. After I hung up, I looked around the motel room. The bedspread was floral. The lamp had a slight flicker. The carpet was clean, if a little thin. Still, I felt more solid here than I had in that mansion, or in her house, or at her table. I pulled out my notebook and wrote one sentence across the top of a clean page. Silence is not the same as weakness. Then I circled it. Twice. The first call came just after noon. I was standing in the kitchen of the rental house on T. Wren Lane, peeling an orange over the sink. The air smelled clean, citrus and wood polish. I hadn't yet bought curtains, but I liked the way the sun came through the bare glass. Honest. The phone buzzed against the counter. Unknown number. I let it ring. Then came the second. The third. Finally, a voicemail. Her voice, raw now, no makeup in the tone, no filters. You filed the claim? Are you serious? You ruined everything. They froze everything, Mom. I can't access anything. Not the house, not the card, not even my own account. Do you know what you've done? I saved the message. Marked it. A few hours later, my cousin Ruth called. We hadn't spoken in over a year. Laura's upset, she said, almost breathless. She says you went behind her back. That you're dragging her through legal hell. Is this true? I didn't answer the question. She lied, I said simply. She stole. She says it was a misunderstanding. Is that what she calls forging a claim with my signature already on the ticket? Silence. You don't have to believe me, I added. But facts don't ask for belief. I ended the call. That night, there was a knock at my door. Not heavy, hesitant. A pause between each rap, like someone rehearsing guilt. I looked through the peephole. Her ex-husband. Mark. I opened the door just enough for him to see my face. Hi Alice, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. Laura asked me to talk to you. She's out of messengers? He tried a smile. It didn't land. She's scared. She didn't think this would happen. No, I said. She thought I'd let it go. She says the boys miss you. They'll live. She's not thinking clearly, he went on. You know how she gets. She needs grounding. I'm not a foundation anymore, Mark. He looked down. I told her to make it right. But she's not built for that. I know. She wants to talk. She should talk to a lawyer. I closed the door. No bang. Just wood against wood. The next day, a string of messages came in. From people I hadn't seen since weddings, baby showers, funerals. You only get one daughter. Maybe she made a mistake, but 10 million? You need to share. Family doesn't take each other to court. She's hurting. Think of the boys. I did think of the boys. I thought of the time I packed their lunches, folded their laundry, picked them up from school when she forgot. I thought of the time one of them said, "Grandma's just here 'cause she's poor," and she laughed. No. I wasn't thinking about them now. I was thinking about myself. That evening, I received an email from her lawyer. Our client, Ms. Laura Reed, respectfully requests mediation prior to continued litigation. She wishes to resolve the matter privately and amicably. I didn't reply. I forwarded the email to my lawyer with a note, "We resolve things legally, not privately." He responded 1 minute later, "Agreed." The next morning, Laura texted from a new number. "Do you really want me to lose everything?" I stared at the screen. Then typed, "I didn't take anything. I'm just stopping you from keeping what was never yours." No response. Later that day, a letter arrived in my mailbox. Handwritten. Slanted. Unsealed. "You always said we'd share everything. Now you're pretending I'm a thief? You don't know what this is doing to me." I folded it in half and dropped it in the trash. Then I made tea. While the kettle boiled, I opened my file drawer. The top folder, Claim AR. Inside, every transaction traced, every signature matched, every legal form notarized. I flipped through them slowly. Evidence has weight. It doesn't need to shout. A few days later, Helen called. "You made the paper," she said, half teasing. "Which one?" State Journal. Page 3. Headline says, "Lottery dispute enters legal territory." Your name isn't mentioned, but the facts line up. What does it say? She read it. A Colorado woman is challenging her daughter's multimillion-dollar lottery win after producing signed evidence and video footage confirming her as the original purchaser. The case is pending. All funds have been frozen. "I don't want attention," I said. "I know. But you're getting justice." That tends to glow. I hung up and went for a walk. The neighborhood was quiet. Lawns brittle with fall, porches swept clean. A dog barked half-heartedly down the block. I thought about her message again. "Do you really want me to lose everything?" The question rolled over in my mind. She didn't ask why I was doing it. She didn't ask how to make it right. She didn't ask how I felt. Only what she stood to lose. And I realized, she still didn't see me. Not really. Just a gatekeeper whose lock had finally snapped. That night, I changed my phone number. The next morning, I got a call from the Lottery Commission. A woman's voice, warm but formal. "Ms. Reed, your evidence has been fully reviewed. The footage, receipts, and signature all validate your claim. The reissue process is underway. The contested party has been informed of the outcome." I nodded. "Thank you." She hesitated. "Do you want to make a statement? Media inquiries have begun." "No." "Understood. If anything changes." "It won't." I hung up. Then I opened the drawer under my bed and pulled out the notebook I'd started weeks ago. I flipped to the back, to a blank page. Wrote one sentence. I was not too late. I was just quiet long enough. Then I closed the book and slept. That night, no dreams came. Only stillness. 2 weeks after the final ruling, the check arrived. It came by courier, hand-delivered in a flat white envelope with no markings. The man who brought it wore a navy windbreaker and nodded politely when I answered the door. "Signature here, ma'am." I signed, closed the door, carried the envelope to the kitchen table and sat down. I didn't open it right away. Instead, I made a cup of tea, Earl Grey. Let it steep while the envelope rested untouched on the wood. Light poured through the window in long gold lines, landing on my hands, on the teacup, on the edge of the envelope. When the timer beeped, I lifted the flap, slid the contents out. One check. Legal name. My name. My handwriting months ago, made real in ink. I folded it once, placed it into a slim file. Then I stood. There was nothing dramatic to feel. No thunderclap, no joy, no swelling of some secret anthem. Only quiet. I walked it to the bank that afternoon. No one recognized me. I wore a scarf. No makeup. I spoke softly. The manager looked over the check 3 times, then said, "Congratulations, Ms. Reed." I nodded. "Deposit all of it," I said. "Into the trust." "And the disbursement plan?" "No rush. Let it sit." "Yes, ma'am." That was all. By the time I stepped back into the house, the sun was low, and the trees threw long shadows across the porch. The neighborhood was still. No music, no kids, no leaf blowers or barking. Just a single bird, high and far. I sat in my chair, the one I'd bought secondhand and refinished myself, and looked out over the lawn. Nothing had changed. And everything had. That weekend, she came. No warning. No call. Just a knock. I opened the door halfway. She looked hollow. Less like someone who had lost money and more like someone who had lost position. Her hair was unbrushed. She wore a sweater that wasn't hers. Her hands trembled. "Mom." I said nothing. "I didn't know," she began, her voice cracked. "I didn't think you'd actually." "You did know," I said quietly. "You just thought I wouldn't stop you." Her eyes welled, but she didn't cry. "Not really. I don't have anything left," she said. I watched her. "I thought if I won, I could fix it. Everything. The boys, the house, my life. I didn't think I didn't think it mattered." "It mattered," I said. "Because I matter." She stepped forward slightly. I didn't move. "I've made mistakes," she whispered. "But you're my mother. And you're a woman who forged a win and tried to erase me with it. I didn't want to erase you. But you did." She nodded once. "I just thought, maybe we could talk." I considered her face. Familiar, and somehow foreign. The child I raised had become a woman who learned how to smile and lie at the same time. "I have peace now," I said. "I don't." "I know." She swallowed. "What do I do?" I didn't answer. There was nothing I could give her that she hadn't already taken and broken. And I wasn't a fixer anymore. I closed the door. Not with anger. Not with forgiveness. With finality. She didn't knock again. I heard her steps fade down the walkway. Then silence. That night, I made soup. Lentils, carrots, thyme. Let it simmer slow. I didn't need company. I didn't need apologies. I had the pot, the recipe, the rhythm. In the months that followed, I began again. Not loudly. Not with announcements or reinventions. But with small choices. I planted herbs along the windowsill. Painted the spare room a soft green. Volunteered at the library twice a week, shelving books, mending pages. I didn't tell anyone about the money. I let it grow quietly. Safely. Away from hands that reached without asking. One afternoon, I received a postcard from one of the boys, the youngest. No return address. Just block letters in pencil. "Hi Grandma. I miss you. I remember your cookies." I kept it in the drawer beside the tea. Didn't reply. He'd find me when he was old enough to understand. Until then, I would not chase what refused to stay. I would not knock on doors that shut behind my back. I would not beg. I walked every morning. Same route. Past the corner store, the old elm trees, the dog with the limp that barked only once. People began to recognize me. "Good morning," they'd say. And I'd nod. No need for more. One Tuesday, I sat on the bench in front of the bakery. A woman about my age sat beside me. We shared the sun. She glanced over. "You from here?" she asked. "I am now," I said. She smiled. We didn't speak after that. The wind picked up. Leaves danced across the sidewalk. I pulled my scarf tighter and closed my eyes. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for anyone. Not a husband. Not a daughter. Not even redemption. I had returned to myself. And I liked it here.